So first thing on the agenda is review the April minutes. Did everybody get a chance to look at those? Wait, that's not right.
Oh, yeah. What did she do?
On the printout, it says January.
Oh.
My email.
No, mine says April. I just.
Maybe these aren't right. Oopsie.
Okay.
Yeah, well, this one's,
Yep.
I don't know.
All right.
Okay.
Anyway, the minutes were sent out, so has everybody reviewed those?
Yeah,
Do we need a motion to approve them? Oh.
so moved.
It's just pulling that, Melissa.
Melissa up.
So. Motion passed.
I don't think we ever voted on them.
Good. Company nurse report, nobody,
Do we have any new ones?
No claims?
Two still out there that are in the works. One is requiring surgery down the road, and then the other one's ongoing until September 30th as of now. Yeah.
Stacy's not here today from IMWCA. She said if we needed her, she has another safety committee meeting in another county. If we had any questions for her, she was available by phone. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else.
There hasn't been any new ones, just
Yeah.
those two that are still.
so no new claims since.
Since meeting. I know that there was some discussion about the possibility of having a little more comprehensive documentation when you complete a first notification of injury. Because the employee needs to fill that out and then you need to call company nurse. So I think that maybe that would be a discussion point for the next meeting, Melissa, to review a little bit more comprehensive documentation of said injury, including the mechanism of injury and immediate attention to the injury, and then what the recommendations of company nurse are. I think that's kind of would be helpful. And I think everybody kind of needs to get on the same page with that. And I think that's something that's difficult for people because the injured party doesn't have to describe the scene because they were the one that was injured. So it's like like if I hurt myself, I need to put down, I slipped on the ice, blah, blah, blah. I had this type of footwear on. You have to really paint the picture of what you were doing, what the scene looked like, and then what happened. And I don't think that that's really getting comprehensively completed.
Now it's pretty vague on some of it I've read.
Yeah. And then what we do as a safety committee is we review those documents and then we make recommendations based on the information. Well, if there's not enough information there, then we don't know how to give appropriate feedback and recommendations. So let's I think that's the other, I don't know if this is, I'll just say it now. I think there was, because it's kind of comprehensive. I mean, we try to have representation from all the departments on the safety committee. And I know we have the jail here, which is a great thing to have somebody from the jail, but I wonder, Stacy's recommendation too is maybe have somebody from the sheriff's side of things. So I don't know if that's a conversation that we need to have with the sheriff, or if you want to have it with the sheriff, or however you want to have that. Because even though you guys are under the umbrella of the sheriff's department, there's two separate, you know what I mean? It'd be like me and Josh not being both here, even though we're both in healthcare. It's two totally different areas of service. So I don't know, Chris, whatever you want to do, if you want.
Yeah, I can talk to Bart about it, or if you want to
Okay.
also.
Whatever you want to do, you just let me know and we can follow up with that. That
Okay.
was just something that Stacy had mentioned when I talked to her, so. Okay, sorry, Brett, I just thought I'd say it while we're here. Okay.
All right, so I am WCA safety again. She's not here, so does anybody have anything in that category? I don't think there's anything new that's been sent out. Normally,
What's in the old minutes this next week is the trainings that are available up there in Johnston.
Mhm.
Sign up and know about that. Is it too late to sign up or?
I think usually you can still sign up like the week before, but
Or was that last?
I thought it was last month.
Over.
I thought it was last
Maybe they
month.
are over.
I don't know, I'm on jury duty, yeah, no, I can't commit to anything. I thought it was last month. Did you get your item that you ordered with this IMWCA safety grant?
We did.
Okay, and you've had your training?
We just got it on the 2nd.
Okay, Okay,
And now we're just waiting for Bart to approve the policy.
okay.
He's on vacation. He'll be back today, tomorrow,
That was tomorrow.
maybe tomorrow.
Okay. That's exciting.
What, the vacation part? or come
No,
back?
their equipment,
Yeah, it is. I was looking at it, some of it.
Now we're looking, there's an additional piece that goes with it. Now we're looking at trying to see how we're gonna get funding to buy that as well. So this thing, it's called the wrap. There's also a thing that's, the names for the items are very basic. The other thing that they have for it that the wrap can attach to is called the cart. And it works a lot like, I don't know if you've seen our ERC chair. It's very similar to that, but less restrictive. It's pretty restrictive, but it's not as, you're not strapped down to a chair. You're more in a prone position where it's less,
face down.
no, you're
Face
in a
up, or
seating
excuse me,
position.
Face
Yeah.
up, prone, yeah,
But there's less of a chance for issues with breathing and
yeah. Because of that lactic acid buildup when you're trying to do a takedown or something, you don't want to have respiratory compromise, so yeah. That's exciting. Are you gonna do it, are you gonna do a demo for us so we can see it?
I thought about that. We should.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll bring it.
So on ICAP, part of that, we were talking our last meeting, I think. What's the mechanism to decide who's applying for the ICAP grant for the county? Because you only get one. So you got all the county departments. And I know Chris and I talked yesterday about the cart,
Mhm.
about this year's ICAP grant. And, you know, we talked about, well, you only get one for the county. So
Right.
who,
Well, there was discussion about that at a couple different meetings. We were gonna take like, everybody could like apply or put their name, I don't know if we were gonna put everybody's department in the hat and then pull one out, or if somebody had a high priority, because it was like going to, we wanna make sure every department has an equal opportunity. And if some department, the same department shouldn't get it every year is what I'm saying. So we need to spread it out a little bit. So I don't know what that looks like.
So that they changed this, it used to be $1,000.
It is $1,000.
But everybody used to be able to apply for it.
you can apply for it, but you only get $1,000
Per
per
county.
county, per county.
Yeah.
So
I used to be $1,000 per applicant. Because we all used to, because we would pool them.
I don't think it's that way anymore.
Evidently not.
I think it's just $1,000 per county.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, per county.
yeah, so this
Per
last year, so because it's a calendar year grant, if I remember right. The safety committee bought the first aid kits because then everybody in the county, every department in the county could get one or two or whatever. So we wanted to kind of disperse that evenly. And that was a need that was identified.
well, the
So,
reason I asked is because, you know, it's $1,000, and I know several county departments have put in, but we never really know. I think we need to come up with a time frame. If it's in the first of the year and say, okay, this is what we want to apply for this year, because if you don't get it under your department, you can always write the grant for the greater Jefferson County.
right,
I mean, they're great to work with anyway, so if you
Right.
got an idea for your department, you say, okay, well, the sheriff's department's gonna get it this year for the ICAP grant for this cart or whatever, then you can go ahead and make it right. So does that make sense to have a
right,
timeline
yeah,
on when?
yeah, it does, it does. So is what you're saying is then the safety committee should have a process in place to do that.
I would-
And then the department managers need to understand that, so they don't go outside of the safety committee to apply for it.
Well, I don't.
I mean, that's the
Yeah, that's
issue,
the
that's
problem,
the concern, I mean, it's everybody's money to apply for. But if you wanna have a process, then it needs to come through this committee, so we can make sure that it's getting distributed. Or a priority, whatever, you know, especially if you've had an injury, work comp injury in a department, then you wanna try to mitigate something with the safety grant is what, you know. I agree, I don't know how to communicate that.
You just decide what it is and say this is what it is.
That's not, I'm not a
Because it's
video.
not a perfect word.
No, it's not, but I think it should, if it's safety, it should come to the safety committee, but it might not, but. Unless you guys wanna give us some money for the safety committee while we're here. What?
Like the
Maybe,
grant.
What do
would
you,
it be the first of the year
an email can be sent around.
Or at least by March, like the
Yeah.
second quarter, because
Yeah,
I think the Greater
ask,
Jefferson County's
Do you
due.
have a need in your department for, $1,000, and then we get a list going, and then safety committee decides what's what.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I just
I
don't
think,
wanna,
I think there needs to be a process in place. I really truly do. So it's fair and equitable.
We were gonna go alphabetical.
Yeah, we
And if
were.
like the auditor's office don't want it, we just go to the next, and
Yeah.
the next.
just thought I'd bring that up.
No, I agree, Darcy.
Yeah, I agree. Send them an email and ask for their ideas or what their needs are and.
So Melissa, can you do that now then, and then get it done for the next meeting maybe? Because if if nobody has any needs, then yeah. Because the item you purchased wasn't an ICAP grant, it was a
Correct.
different
Yeah.
grant, so the money's still sitting there for this year.
Because the first aid kits for 2024 money.
But not the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
You were talking about that. Maybe possibly, right?
I was looking at, can you get, so let's say the item I want to buy is more than $1,000. Can I ask for a grant from, like, I'm also looking at a grant through Walmart. That I also think is $1,000. Can you do
A lot of
multiple
times you can
grants in one?
match grants, yeah, you can match grants, or you have to have, some grants you have to have like a percentage, like most of ours is like 10% for the grants that we work with. You have to have a 10% match either from another grant or from your department or in-kind contribution with salaries, yeah. Most of the time. So, but yeah, so you're gonna, sorry, Brett, you're gonna send that out then, Melissa, okay. Anything else on that? I tried to get some money, okay, whatever.
We'll talk today.
Okay. We just talked about that.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a quite short meeting, but since we don't have anybody, Stacy's usually here to talk about what's kind of new in the IMWCA. So standing agenda items would be FEMA training. I don't know of any FEMA training coming up in the next couple months that would be pertinent to most people here, I guess. So, like we always say, needs, I have FEMA opportunities for myself, but it's not gonna, they're gonna be, no one wants to sit through nuclear stuff and things like that in this group, I don't think so. But I don't see any, I usually check, I get emails from the state, and I don't see that's gonna be something that this group would be wanting to go to.
I just got this yesterday. It's not FEMA. It came from my regional public health
It's not a crisis.
crisis communication training. So anybody that I can send it, I can just send it to the safety committee too. I sent it out to all of the people that are on the county preparedness team, including the supervisors. So it's a free crisis communication training. It's June 2nd in Iowa City at the Emergency Operations Center. I don't know for sure if my schedule is going to allow me to go, but it would be great. It's at no charge. It's a regional training, and it's something that I'm on a subcommittee for communication. Imagine that. And it's something that we wanted to bring forward, and it took us a little bit to get it all coordinated. So that's what I know about that. And again, you guys, anybody on the safety committee is welcome to attend our county emergency preparedness meetings. If you guys want to, I can start sending that to you guys as well. The next one would be June 12th.
You just got that out of your head. You knew it Thursday.
I looked at the
Oh,
calendar over there. I'm not that good, Brett. I'm like, I looked at the calendar.
cheating.
Yeah, it's using your
Chris, can I
resources.
ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where are we at with measles?
Where are we at with measles?
Down with the itchy.
Yeah, currently there are no confirmed cases of measles in Iowa. Iowa and Wisconsin are two of the states in the Midwest that we dodged it thus far. I know there is testing going on in Iowa, but I have not got a lab confirmed case of measles in Iowa yet, notification. So it's just a matter of time.
Right now, we're dealing, I'm worried of mosquitoes, but no.
There's a lot of tick-borne illness, I will say that. So people don't realize we get involved with that. Even though tick-borne illness is not a communicable disease, it's still disease surveillance that we do. So there's a lot of tick-borne illnesses, so. pay attention to that.
Ticks are bad.
Ticks are bad.
It's difficult to determine which tick is sick,
I-
which one's not.
I know. We had somebody call the other day that had a bat in their house. I woke up with a bat. So if you wake up and there's a bat in your house, or in your bedroom, the guidance that you're gonna get from public health, which is state and federal guidance, is to
Get your tennis racket.
it's illegal to kill a bat in Iowa, but try to catch the bat, and then it needs to be euthanized by the vet clinic. But the directive for the human is to go seek post-exposure prophylaxis, so you need to start the rabies series, because there's no way to know if you were bit by the bat while you're sleeping or not, because bats have razor sharp teeth, and it's not like a dog and it leaves big bite marks. So this person, that was a 20-minute conversation, and that, it's just hard, because it's expensive to get post-exposure prophylaxis.
I like Lee's quote. I mean, if you want to know how to get rid of them, I'd watch the YouTube tutorial of the movie The Great Outdoors. Dan Aykroyd.
Ah, yeah.
The lampshade on the head. Tennis racket, whatever.
Mhm. Anyway, we digress with all the things public health is dealing with, but anyway.
All right.
Any other trainings that you guys have that coming up, or anything that you guys would need or request, or that you think is a priority that we need to work on or try to have offered? Let me talk about this later.
What about the slip resistant footwear, which is our agenda, just us to consider?
Well, where we gonna, I think that's under
Team
team
safety
safety
discussion.
discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
we'll just move into team safety discussion.
Good segue.
Good job, Brad.
Do you guys all have a copy of this? You should.
I printed some out in case.
Oh, good. So this is,
No, go ahead.
no, so this is a, Darcy. This, do you want me to do it? You wanna do it? Oh, gee. All right, so this is a.
You want to do it, Ray?
This is a sample slip resistant footwear usage policy. And the reason the safety committee is recommending this and bringing this to the supervisors is so employees need to be wearing specific footwear to decrease slips and falls, which would definitely decrease a potential claim for a work comp issue. We don't want anybody to get hurt. But the other reason that we need for you to consider adopting this policy is so then the county can apply for grants to pay for the footwear. But we have to have a policy in place set forth by the recommendation of the safety committee, adopted by the supervisors. So then we can move forward with the potential of getting footwear paid for with the grant reimbursement. How's that in condensed version?
That's
Okay,
pretty
thanks.
good.
Thank you.
Can you repeat that?
You can read the memo, Joe. Actually, IMWCA is really good about having standard policies.
Yeah.
They're run through their committee and their HR, so it's, if they're recommending it or if they have a sample, it's pretty well good to go. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel and do all the work. It's right there for you.
Well, the conversation. Well,
Huh?
I interrupted you. Conversation we had before on this, well, one of the reasons that we agreed to was because I personally didn't like the terminology of cleats, spikes, the traction aids, and there was gonna be some pictorial evidence or whatever you wanna call it, that was gonna be provided, because our maintainer operators, for example, don't want them climbing in and out of the maintainers with spikes or cleats or whatever.
Well, the cleats, I mean, I sent you the picture though. I
Yeah.
think about everybody.
You did.
And so I guess start on, the safety committee's job is to recommend from help with IMWCA but our job is, why we're together is to try to keep the county's workers' comp policy premiums down, which, I don't know if everybody's aware what our mod factor for the county right now is really low. Now, will that change with some of the incidents? It probably will, but we're way ahead of a lot of counties where we're at in the safety committee that recommended stuff. So we look at slips, trips and falls, if you look at the history of that stuff, whether it's on ice or just falling off of something, those are two of the biggest causes of premium increases or potential premium increases to go forward, and historically, it's what it shows, but we're not saying, we're not here to, we just want a policy of certain people. We recommend, or IMWCA recommends policy to certain applications, but the cleats, the spikes is kind of we don't want people wearing metal spikes
Right.
climbing in and out. These, what they show are basically a rubberized base, traction control that just slip over your boot. There's no metal. It's not like you're wearing ice fishing cleats out there.
Right.
They're just a
Looks
traction,
hazardous.
a traction aid that slips right off your boot
Mhm.
pretty easily.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Brett, but I also understand the words mean things, and the way that this is written is pretty specific. And one of the things that it states is that the type of job function and the length of time spent outdoors will determine the type of footwear and traction that each employee will be provided. Okay, so who makes that determination? Who decides?
I think the department managers
The-
do.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
what works for me and my crew is gonna be
Right.
different than what works for roads department.
Mhm.
Right, I
So
agree with that
that would be-
wholeheartedly.
So then I would go in and say for EMS, I want
This.
this model.
Mhm.
And then,
Dwayne would pick
yeah,
out something
Dwayne would pick
else.
something that's gonna work for him. And,
Corrections.
the sheriff's department or whoever. So I think
I think the reason.
the policy is vague enough to say cleats, whatever, but each department will specify what model or what type of footwear we want.
Right, based on your job duties
Right.
and descriptions and your risk factors.
Right.
Yeah.
And what it's to be worn.
Yeah, and then the department manager will say when it's supposed to be worn, and all that.
So my understanding is we need a countywide policy and then each department can
Do a
modify
sub-policy,
that
yeah,
within their own.
And will these, we'll just use you for example then. You're going in and out of potentially somebody's home.
Mhm.
Uh,
So the model I looked at is indoor, outdoor, drivable. Versatile, basically. So that's gonna work for my crew, cause they don't have to take it off and on going into someone's house. It's not gonna tear up their carpet and things like that when we go in. And it's not gonna slip on tile floors or anything like that.
and then it's up to the department manager to make sure that their direct reports are wearing that piece of personal protective equipment. So if there is a claim, if you have an employee that's not wearing the identified appropriate footwear, and there is a work comp claim, then that's a whole different level of conversation that the department manager and IMWCA and the employee have. But we have to have this in place in order to go to the next step to disseminate the policy to the departments. So I understand what you're saying, but this is like the big umbrella blanket policy for all the elected officials and department heads to then implement their policy. And Stacy can help with that. I mean, she's indicated that she would help. Whatever she needs to do with that. So, but it's based again on risk, job duties, job descriptions, functionality of their job, so.
I just know my department, my guys are a huge kickback. They do not want to put these on there. Just putting that out there.
I've heard a lot of the same from sheriff's department and the jail as well.
Yeah, it's just it's
It's
a
a
recommendation.
recommendation.
It's up to you guys to, we're
Yeah,
not,
that's why we needed to bring it to the three of you as the supervisors, but here's the thing. If you have employees that fall, and you have a huge work comp claim, and you have an employee that's forever bodily damaged from said fall, then we're gonna be paying for that as the employer for here to however long. I mean, I'm not saying people fall all the time, I'm not saying that they don't. But we, as individual departments, needed to bring this to you guys first. So if you want to adopt it, fine. If you don't find, then we'll just move on and we're not going to worry about getting the footwear with a grant. That's why this is having this conversation today. That's why we're having this with the three of you.
no, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah, I do
Appreciate
too.
What you're saying.
I'm,
and I question too, and I know I deviate on these things and I apologize,
You
but,
don't have to apologize, it's all right.
but I can envision, okay. Darcy's going from her car, she's coming in here, don't forget before you get out of your car, put on your. In other words, and you determine what type of footwear it is that we're gonna have for the auditor's office to get from the car to the office. Is that an issue? Is that part of this policy? Is she gonna be written up for not doing it?
Or would that start when she gets in?
Yeah, I don't think you're not on the clock till
Right,
you're in the building.
right.
I think that's a whole other conversation, because I had that with
That's what I
Stacy.
wanna make sure.
That's what I had with Stacy, not about this, but several years ago. Like, you're not on the clock till you're on the clock in the building or wherever you're reporting.
And if Elvis
But
left the
if
building,
you
he doesn't-
fall walking into your workplace.
You're on the clock.
Yeah.
I'm just
yeah.
saying, I'm just saying, so,
If you're at your workplace and you're in the parking lot, if you're coming in, you're on the clock. I mean, you're not technically on the clock, but you're responsible, the work's responsible.
Yeah,
And don't
that's-
misunderstand,
I'm just saying.
but by the same token, I can envision an employee who falls on their way in. Well, county was negligent in cleaning the parking lot,
Mhm.
even though I'm not on the clock yet when I fell. Or, for that matter, a person who doesn't work here. I get that. All
Right.
those things come into play in that regard, you know, and maybe we need to do a better job on the sidewalks and so on and so forth. I'm not, but my concern, I think, is probably some of your personnel's concern, some of the road department's concern. And when we start mandating things, and I'm fine with having a policy. And I don't know if you can, but where I'm at is failure to comply will be a violation of the employee's personal protective equipment policy
Right.
and subject to discipline.
I think it has to say that in there, so then the employee's fully cognizant, if they're not, like, if I as a nurse am not wearing gloves, I mean, I don't have to wear gloves when I get a shot. It's
Sure.
best practices that
Right.
you do. If I know somebody has some kind of respiratory illness and I choose to not put a mask on, myself and the patient, and I come down with, some kind of meningitis or tuberculosis or something, and then I come back and say, hey, I got this from my job. Well, were you wearing the appropriate personal protective equipment, Chris? You're fully cognizant of what you need to wear to protect yourself and others. I'm playing devil's advocate the other way. It doesn't matter. That's why we're just brought it to you guys, and then you can either adopt it, change it, do nothing, and move on, so we as a committee don't have the same conversation.
I was just saying, it's a
Yeah.
hard sell, and
It
we're not
is.
advocating that everybody, it just,
Yeah,
the job of the safety committee is to bring stuff to the supervisors, let them know what our past history is.
Yeah.
And several of the claims in the past that have been big claims have been, slips and falls. So
and one,
we're not, this group isn't here to tell. We're just recommending what IMWCA recommends to put in
Right.
their policies.
yep,
It's
So,
my understanding, it's not even a grant we're applying for, it's an order we placed.
oh yeah,
Whoever
you're
wants
right,
them,
I
Tell
misspoke,
me your
you're
size,
right,
you're gonna place the order, you're gonna get them for free.
yeah, you're right.
If
You're right.
somebody's not wearing them and they fall, is IMWCA gonna deny that claim? No.
No. But if you have 2 or 3 claims from the same person, then they're gonna look at that process and say, hey, Chris, you have had 3 falls on the clock. What is going on with you as an employee? You're not practicing in your workplace safely. And then that's another level of discussion, henceforth the disciplinary action in the policy. That's why that's there. Yeah, we're not the people police. We're really not. We're just trying to. We just need to have you guys either approve it or not approve it, and then we just need to move on from it, because we keep having the same discussion, and then
It goes
we
nowhere.
it goes nowhere.
Without a policy though, it affects the mod, doesn't it?
It can, I mean, if you continue to have claims,
it won't affect the mod if there's no claims.
yeah, but if there's claims and the county doesn't have a policy, then it's that's a Stacy question, and we can call her if you want to. Cause she said she's available by phone.
We've had the conversation, as far as that part of it goes, I don't remember, but I'd have to back up the minutes, but I think we probably should put it on Monday's agenda to discuss and consider. I don't think we should do it here. Because it is a policy change regarding or goes in the safety handbook or whatever, but,
Mhm.
yeah,
That would go on safety. Do you,
I was thinking it was already on a Monday meeting, and you tabled it to discuss and consider here.
I'm thinking you're right.
Yeah, so here.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't, but I,
In the handbook.
You're right.
so if that's, you know, if that's the board's desire to make the decision now, we can do that.
Or you can table, or you can do whatever you.
Yeah, I'd rather table it until we hear from Stacy. I'd like to know what she thinks.
Well, she did the policy per se,
Do
right?
you-
I know, but she hasn't heard your
Zoom
concerns.
too, wasn't
is she on, she was on the Zoom for the supervisor meeting. Mhm. She said she's available by phone today. Do you want me to call her while everybody's here?
Sure.
I have one, sure.
Who said sure?
Darcy. Joe?
If she's available, let's get it done. I get tired of kicking.
I don't
Did she
care
send
about
out the
that,
link
okay?
for?
So
She
you know
she
that.
said
I
she was
know
going
that,
to
it's what-
when she was on the Zoom, but I never got it.
I just
For
think
what?
that-
She was gonna send the link for like where they could go look at the different types.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Which I could think is part of our resistance for some of us as well as, you know, we don't know exactly what we're even talking
oh,
about.
right.
She said there was a link, but she was
it?
supposed to
People
send
probably
it.
already were there.
It's
Oh,
called
I mean,
Google,
I
my
honestly
friends.
I live on a farm, I do chores in the morning.
He's
they're
so
on-
patient with us.
And I-
Like dads with
And
kids.
I think that's wonderful.
Stacy, good morning, it's Chris.
Mandating things
Hey,
is too-
well, we are at the safety committee meeting and we're at the supervisor's office. I don't have you on speakerphone yet. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, but we also have a Zoom option, so we're on Zoom as well. So we're to the point of the slip resistant footwear usage policy. I think we have a couple questions, so I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, okay? And you got this, you have the supervisors and several department heads as usual, okay? All right, hold on. Okay, go ahead. Can you see?
Good morning.
Okay, there we go.
Morning, Stacy.
Okay, go ahead.
So you had some questions, Sue, or something you wanted to ask her specifically?
Well, I guess I'm not sure what to ask. I thought we all had.
Okay, so Stacy, I'm just gonna start it since everybody all of a sudden has laryngitis. So here's a here's a question. If the county, if the supervisors don't adopt this policy or, I'm just asking the question. And we have claims for slips, trips and falls, what does that look like? I mean, is it a conversation then that's gonna come up again to say, hey, is there a reason you're not adopting the policy? Or what does that look like?
If they choose not to participate in the program or adopt the policy,
Yes.
then yes, that's exactly what's gonna come up. You know, every time that
There's
the county has a slip, trip or fall that could have been mitigated by utilizing the footwear, you know, we're gonna continuously have this conversation.
Website.
So there's no investment from the county. You know, we're gonna fund them 100%. We're working on it right now, where we'll actually turn the check around to the vendor. It doesn't even have to go through your budget. You're not even talking budget amendment. But I apologize, I was at another meeting, but the county is staring right now at an open claim to the tune of $380,000 due to somebody falling. Where, I mean, there's still, I haven't gotten down to the deep nitty gritty details yet, but it was one in January. So I'm going to guess that there was ice on the ground, and this would have more than likely not had a claim at all.
Sure.
Okay.
So, I mean, you guys are in the middle of the exact example that we push these for.
Well, maybe.
So here's I got the question. So we have an individual who's wearing whatever it is and, you know, the policy states,
look it
just
up.
so that we're all on the same page. The type of job function and the length of time spent outdoors will determine the type of footwear and the traction aid that each employee will be provided. So each department head will be making decisions predicated upon that criteria. So if they're wearing this footwear, whatever it happens to be, and they slip and fall because there happened to be ice out there, but they're wearing this footwear, it's still a $380,000 claim, and my mod is still gonna go up. Just because I got free footwear doesn't change that dynamic. It may lessen your risk, but it doesn't change the ultimate outcome as far as the claim goes. We can speculate that the person would never have fallen if they'd had that particular gear on, and you may be 100% correct. But if the person has that gear on and does indeed fall, does it change that financial component, and does it change our mod risk? Does it lessen our mod risk because they were wearing the protective footwear, but they fell anyway? Okay.
Oh. Where'd she go?
I don't know, maybe.
She didn't like my question.
I
She's like,
think
nope.
she's driving.
You were talking too long, lady.
I guess.
Let's try this again.
Battery went dead.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it wouldn't help.
Hope she
if
doesn't ask me to
respected
repeat
people
that,
that
because I
have
can't remember what
questions
it
can go
said.
back and show their folks this. To see that
You're
it's.
Stacy Griffin.
She'll call me back.
Maybe.
I didn't make her mad. No, I'm joking.
If
Here she
she's,
calling. Here she calling. Hello, Stacy.
Hi, I apologize. I'm down south of Wetumpka, so.
You're in a,
Well, that explains a lot.
I think I got the question. So if you participate in the program, and somebody still slips and falls, what does that picture look like? Is that correct?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, if you got a $380,000 claim because you fell without shoes, and you fall with shoes, you're still gonna have a $380,000 claim, and it's still gonna impact our mod rate, and we didn't save anything.
So you didn't spend anything, so just remember that part of it. So you didn't spend anything, but the incidence of, this program was developed due to a study that we funded up in Northwest Iowa, where they get significantly more snow and ice. Those that participated in it versus the control group, the participants took their slips and falls due to weather. Now, that doesn't mean you have 0 slips and falls, but the ones that are attributed to weather went to 0. So the ability for this to happen significantly reduces. Is it going to 0? Probably not, but it's going to be significantly less.
So is there a possibility, and I want, and I'm not trying to be snarky here, so please don't take it that way. So is there a possibility that IMWCA will say, well, you know what, we're just not gonna cover you anymore?
Nope, absolutely not. Not due to anything like that.
Okay.
It's like spring.
My job, that is specifically what my job does. We go through and we work with people. If you're working with us, like you guys have done an astronomical job of doing. You guys work with me very, very well. You are my star pupils, if I can say that. As long as you're
Until
working
today.
with me, you are not going to be non-renewed. You're not going to be kicked out. As long as we're having the conversations and you guys are listening and you're taking steps for prevention that we try to work with you on, no, you're not going to be kicked out of the pool.
Stacy, the question too was raised as far as disciplinary action, and I think I clarified that. Whereas if you have one employee that has had 2 or 3 claims and they've done the same thing and they're not using appropriate PPE, then it becomes a individual employee issue, not a countywide issue. It's some employee not following best practices or recommendation, and then that's another whole level of conversation and disciplinary process to go through.
Correct.
What is the website? That was a question, so we can all look it up to see what the footwear looks like.
So the product that gives you a discount for utilizing us, you can use whatever you like. You have to submit that on your grant application, what product you're going to use. The study was used utilizing, it's just winterwalking.com. That's their website.
I couldn't
And
remember
the
what it was.
product, yeah, the product is Winter Walking. So they've got different products that they would use. I'm headed back now. I will be at my computer this afternoon. I will try to get you the 2 products because they switched. I'll try to get you the 2 products that they recommended. Essentially, you have one product for outdoor people, your roads, your street deputies, those types. And then you would have one for all of your other employees, the ones that are, essentially all they really need is something to get from the car to the building and the building to the car. Mailbox, the bank, those pieces.
Okay.
So would this include, some type of, I don't wanna say this, or say maybe for this one, from the car to the building or whatever, so for our ambulance crews, we don't have time to take stuff on, put stuff on, off, whatever, how, on and off. When we're serving patients, but we need to get into people's houses, but we don't wanna tear up their,
Carpet,
yeah,
flooring.
or, you know, whatever. So with this program or this website or whatever, I mean, I would leave it up to my director about,
She gone. You know, she's in like,
yeah, no, but, you know,
she'll call me back. Hold on.
well, I just, you know, you can follow up with, you know, are they going to pay for off-breed stuff, I guess is what I'd say. In other words,
I think Josh has done the research on.
Yeah.
well, yeah,
that's what it
but
sounds
if
like.
it doesn't happen to exist on this website or whatever, I don't know.
It'll exist. I haven't looked at it, but I mean, when you're looking
Here
again,
she is. I'm starting to get a
let's
complex.
just
Here we go.
Yeah,
Lisa,
that's our,
similar.
that'll get last
I
one.
took a bath this
Okay,
morning,
so
there's no reason.
I think the question is coming from, you know, your EMS type people, so you don't have time to switch footwear. So the deal with it is there's slip-ons, so they literally only take, you can do both of them in less than a minute. Having been in EMS for 20 years, your employees would have 1 extra minute to put those on. The other thing is that you can wear them all the time. EMS is just a little bit different where they have significant downtime in between, but you do have the ability to wear those throughout your entire shift. They're not gonna tear up your vehicles. They're not going to become slick if you're on smooth concrete. You know, all those pieces were investigated with the study that we did about 3 or 4 years ago.
so Stacy, the other question or comment is like, if the supervisors choose to adopt this winter footwear usage policy, then each department manager, elected official can have a more specific policy outlining more things if needed, correct? That's kind of what we,
Yes, if they want, yeah, if they wanna be more strict than what our policies lays out, they absolutely have that ability.
okay, yep, okay.
Could we see the study?
Chris, from corrections wants to know if we could, can you share the study with us? I think maybe that would help get some buy-in from some people. I'm saying that, he didn't say that, those were my words, not his.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. Let me check. I know that we've had, the coordinator that did the study up in Northwest Iowa. I know we've had him do a presentation a couple times. And
Okay.
I think it's pretty in-depth on the slides, and I think we have a copy of it. But yeah, it might take me a couple days to find that.
Okay,
Just as we've switched employees a couple times, I'm not sure where it got stored. But yeah,
Okay.
I'll get you some data from it, definitely.
okay, I think that might help.
Yes, for sure.
Does anybody have any other questions for Stacy before we get disconnected?
No.
Yes.
Oh, Joe's got a question.
So
Yeah.
if we don't adopt this policy, you're not going to fund the slipwear for employees. Is that correct?
Yes, that is a requirement of a successful grant application, is training and adopting a policy.
Okay, on the papers we were handed out, it says if we adopt the policy and failure to comply will be a violation. That's what's bothering me because I think people should have a choice whether they want to wear them or not.
But defeats the policy.
Pardon?
You gotta work close to work too. But he doesn't want it.
I mean, if you put a policy in
Just
place,
saying.
any policy, so let's just take electrical worker, somebody has to wear a hard hat. They don't have a choice, they have to wear the hard hat. If they, I mean, if they don't wear the hard
Okay.
hat,
Yeah,
I mean, it's a policy, right?
steel toe boots.
Mhm.
Okay, that answered that question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Masks and gloves.
there are factories in town, everybody has to wear
Yes,
hard.
goggles
shoes.
or
Yeah.
eye protection,
Safety glasses.
anything, yeah.
It just gives one more piece of personal protective equipment.
Yeah. Hey, Stacy, can you, do you know off the top of your head, like how many counties have a slipwear policy in place currently? That's not a fair,
Of this,
go ahead.
of the 79 we cover, I think we've given out grants to 20, is the number that sticks in my head.
Okay.
But I know that we've had some that didn't want to broach that discipline. So
Yeah,
I know that they went ahead and bought the footwear out of their own budget.
okay,
So they did not enact the policy, but they did feel that the product was worthy.
okay, okay. That's a fair statement, okay.
Can you allude as to what their concerns were, that they thought the product was good and that they went forward with it, but didn't want to enact the policy?
So most of them were on the side that they didn't consider it more personal protective equipment. Essentially they were wanting their employees to choose whether they wanted to wear them or not.
Okay,
Now, I will say that they went ahead and funded them, and 2 of them turned around and enacted the policy anyway, but they had already funded their own, so they lost out on the grant,
right,
and they enacted the policy anyway.
okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, again, it's just one more piece of PPE. It's no different than you guys buying steel-toed boots. So if you guys pay for steel-toed boots and somebody smashes a foot, that's gonna be a conversation with that employee.
And that's gonna leave a mark. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else for Stacy? I'll let her go. I'm so glad you were able to take our call. I appreciate it, because we were gonna wait. I'm like, no, let's just call her. She said she was available
Yep.
by phone, so.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yes,
Stacy,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay,
yes, absolutely.
okay,
Have
well,
a good one, guys.
thank you too. Take
Thank
care.
you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that's the story on that. Well, you guys are discussing this. I'm gonna go get your AED, because that's another thing I wanna talk about here in a second.
So what's the board want to do?
I want to proceed forward.
Okay, today, this morning, or Monday.
We're discussing, consider on the agenda for today.
I don't see an agenda.
Look at your. Do you have your agenda for
Online.
Monday?
This one that I put out.
Yeah, yeah. It is on
I'm
the
not,
agenda.
It
I'm
is.
not disputing, I just didn't.
No, it is on there.
Okay.
I'm not using this on anything. I'm multitasking.
Well, don't hurt yourself.
No, I won't. Not today.
So, Melissa, can you, enlighten us quickly what the road department's concerns were?
I think just the, getting in and out of equipment, which maybe they'll change their mind if we actually see the product.
Mhm.
Yeah, but getting in and out of equipment. Basically the trucks. But yeah, we've never seen the equipment either, so.
Well, I think at this point, I'm not a board supervisor, but it sounds to me like you would rather see the equipment, see if it's actually feasible. What your problems might be with your employees before you make it, right?
That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing. So you table it and then you come back to the table after, but the departments are gonna have to sit down, take the time to look at the footwear.
Yeah, it's,
Did she say she could get samples of each?
I thought she said, or we could buy them and then they. would
Or we can buy a
reimburse us,
sample of each one and,
something like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I can't imagine that it's.
I don't think it's gonna take you a minute to put them on. If that's the case, I mean, we have to.
No,
put-
I
Turn out here and
We have to
everything
put our
else.
whole turnout gear
Right.
full, ready to go into a flaming fire in a minute. So if it takes a minute to put on footwear.
and I was
You're
more
struggling.
concerned about entering into people's houses, but what you showed me.
yeah.
It's what I've told you. They're not spikes and cleats. And you say carpet, I'd be more concerned with hardwood floors and tile,
Mhm.
Well,
not carpet.
Yeah.
You're gonna tear up hardwood floors with the traditional cleat spike that
Yeah.
everybody thinks in their head is what is. These
They're
are,
thinking sports.
well, these are not, those
They're
are.
thinking
The
mountain
ones I
climbing
was
gear
looking
of some
at,
sort.
So what I'm saying is, not to drag this conversation out, if you
Yeah.
don't wanna make a decision, table it and we'll move on. Everybody get a sample. Your next job is to come to the table saying, oh, we looked at them. We think they'll work for us. I don't.
We've had this conversation for months and actually a couple of years. And usually it doesn't come to the top of the discussion pile. until it's winter. So that's why we're having this discussion
Well, that
now.
makes perfect
And the
sense.
problem with
Because-
Iowa winter is, they say it snows and ice more, but I don't agree with the ice part, I mean, but we in southern Iowa get we get more ice than we get snow anymore, right? But also in southern Iowa, we have these weird temperature, northwest Iowa, it stays cold and it freezes all winter long, a lot of times here. It rains or snows, it melts, it freezes overnight, in the morning it's really slick, and the
Black
next day
ice.
it's the same thing, keeps going up and down, right? So we have more ice on the sidewalks and stuff here, and you can say, well, we do a better job of cleaning stuff, well.
Well, we
You can't just keep.
That was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the weather's unpredictable and you can't always get salt stuff here like that. You're gonna have times where. Sorry.
And I think like, you know, if we do have a fall and they didn't have them on, it's not like no one's getting fired.
No,
one's.
no, if you've done it 3 times or something and you have a $300,080 claim, then it's a whole different conversation than I just biffed it in the parking lot.
I mean, people fall, it happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But
I
if you
think
have,
that's kind of what my employees worried about too. I'm like, no one's getting fired. You didn't have these
Right.
bits on.
right,
And if they're detrimental to your job, for some reason getting in and out of equipment, then the department.
If it's gonna cause more problem with what they're doing during the day, and then obviously you don't wanna be a part, you're not gonna, as that apartment, you're saying. I mean, you have to look at those factors.
once they're in a maintainer or blade, they don't need footwear on, they can take it off to do whatever in there while they're in their little cab.
They're not gonna reach down and take it off once they get in. It's on there to stay.
But
Well, they can if they want
They
to,
can, but
yeah. I mean,
they're basically another soul with a little.
yeah,
extra
yeah, they're
traction
not
on
a
it.
big
Yeah.
deal,
They're just,
yeah.
yeah.
Mary Ann, when she worked for you guys, she had a pair that slipped on. They looked like coil springs.
Yeah.
Those were
Those
yak
are-
tracks,
yeah.
that was one of the
That's
first things that came
Not,
out,
that's what a lot of people think of, and that's not what these are.
yeah, yeah, that's what was available to begin with, years and years ago.
Susie had a picture of them.
This is,
And my assumption is that
They're just kind of like a
how
rubber.
often do your crews go in and
Yeah.
out? And during the course of
That's,
the
is
day
it all
outdoors?
rubber?
So it's.
Most times, so Mondays,
No, it's
Tuesdays,
more like-
Thursdays is court.
Grit.
So we're walking in and out the
Okay,
vehicles, up and down,
okay.
going in and out the courthouse.
Right.
this is what.
But during a normal work day, they would have them on,
And,
but
and this is the one that I would go with.
I would assume that
because
they're not
So
going,
when you
we
get
spend the
out
majority of the
here,
time,
like
as long as there's
middle of the
nothing
road,
going on as far as
ice, snow,
transports.
But then.
That's the only time we're really going
indoor,
outside is
outdoor, and
transports,
driving.
shoveling
Okay.
sidewalks.
Yeah.
There's not one that's excellent for all of those, but this.
Unless you're
Take trash out.
It looks
unless
like.
you're actually a deputy. They're in-
Yeah.
they're in-
That's
a
completely different, yeah.
Different scenario.
I don't want to
Yeah.
answer anything for that.
So this is the one I would.
Yeah, I was for
I think we should
EMS.
talk
Yeah,
about
and a lot of times if it's
this.
inclement weather, we don't leave the department, because we're not 911, we don't deliver emergency services.
Still gotta,
I don't, and it doesn't.
still have to.
Yeah, that's what
make a
Joe
motion.
said.
Yeah, we did.
Still-
Yeah,
But yeah, that's.
Can
the
you
one I
find
would-
out?
So let's,
Just ask Amazon.
so let's,
That's Syria.
Amazon, yes.
go ahead, Lee.
no, I'm just saying, so let's, let's make a decision today and for now, what it is that we want to do. So I would entertain a motion, whatever the motion is.
Well, I'm gonna say up front. I think it's a good idea, but I'm not in favor of putting it into policy if it's something. That they have to wear. I think they should have their choice whether they want to wear them or not. That's my thoughts on it right now.
Okay, then we don't need a policy.
You don't need a policy,
We don't need a
just,
policy.
just take it off just take it out of the.
We can, so
It's-
what we'll do
I'm
then,
wanting to know what the cost is, if they're that expensive or not.
It's, well, initially, the cost isn't.
If we
I
have-
mean, for
If
the,
we have a policy.
Right.
If we have a policy, we don't pay for them.
yeah, I know, but if we don't have a policy, what's it gonna cost the employee if they decide they want them?
Nothing. Oh, you mean?
No, if we do not adopt.
I didn't
policy.
see, Josh, what's
Clarify
that?
something,
I didn't see the cost on
It's
there.
called Amazon.com.
I saw $30 to $40.
But let's
Oh,
just,
that much? Okay, I didn't realize it was that much.
can't buy a pair of shoes for that.
I think
That's 4 dozen.
moving forward, though, in
Thanks.
the future, if we adopt this policy, we'll probably need to add something about. Because we provide I don't know what it is, $125, something we provide to the employees of the road department for once a year, once every 2 years or whatever. You know, I assume that these things will wear out. And
Yeah.
so they need to be replaced.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to adopt a policy as far as replacement.
You could just add the sentence to that policy if you wanted to, whatever you want that.
Well, we
to
don't
look
need to, I mean,
Which I assume that would just be our end of it, like they'll pay for the initial
like. Yeah, the initial repair.
outfitting, but then we're responsible, the county's responsible for upkeep.
Your
Replacing them.
department, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
so the policy as it's currently written, we can adopt, and then we can amend that policy in terms of if you wanted to read regarding replacement or whatever, or in the handbook, however you want to do it. So Susie, Joe, expressed his concerns. What was your thought process?
Well, I was not listening to you.
No, I'm just,
She finally admitted it.
well, my wife does some things like, hell, it's nothing new.
So I think you're saying we need to add further things.
Well, I'm
Sentence
not
to
for
this.
today. This policy can be passed, and then we would have to either amend our handbook or something. We have to have a conversation about moving forward, because obviously this equipment would have to be replaced at some point in time.
That if you chose to do it, then it could be a discussion at department manager
Right.
meeting. And then at the budget process for the next year, FY 27, it could be discussed and amended at that point. That I'm just helping this along,
Yeah.
trying to help it along.
So
I make a motion and we do this. We take advantage of this opportunity.
to adopt the policy as written.
Mhm. That'll get you started.
I'll give a second discussion.
The violation part bothers me, so you know how I'm gonna stand.
Well, I think if I'm understand correctly, we have to say that to make the policy
Mhm.
reimbursed, or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, there has to be some accountability
Mhm.
from their end of it.
Employee and ownership. It's their safety committee, it's their work comp claim, it's their safety, it's their physical health. Mhm.
Remember, safety's not about penalizing somebody.
Mm-mm.
Safety's about making sure they go home and can be productive for their families. It's not about penalizing anybody. It's not about
Right.
witch hunts and watching over people. I can tell you this, come from the private industry as a safety director. We had PPE all over the place. We had safety glasses, we had anti-burn gloves, we had, if they weren't wearing them and they got hurt, and it continued to happen, they were terminated eventually, because we're trying to make sure that they go home safe. And we're trying to make sure that they can do the job to provide for their family. That's the number one goal. So if they don't want to wear them, again, this process has went on way too long. I mean, table it and have the department heads assign them, say, here's what you're looking at. Do you think it'll work? Why don't you think it'll work? Come back to the table and adopt the policy. But if this was my EMA commission, they would have been tabled 20 minutes ago until we got our ducks in a row and figured something out.
No, well, we can't do that till we do the motion that's on the table.
I know.
So
I withdraw the motion.
You withdraw it?
I was just getting ready to call for the vote. Would you want to withdraw your motion?
Again,
I think Brett makes a lot of sense. I think
Oh, let's don't
maybe,
encourage it.
no.
the thing is, this is our body for the rest of our life. If you have a work comp claim and have an injury that could have been prevented and mitigated, then as an employer, we have to do what we can do to keep people safe in spite of their own actions.
You know, Melissa, your guys seem to have an issue. If you're crawling up into a truck or a Caterpillar or something, would you take that off and only use them when you're on the ground? You would leave that on all the
I
time?
would assume they would.
Do you want me to see if we can get a sample of one?
Well, I go back to, I guess I'm gonna ask a question real quickly, why you want to withdraw your motion? We got a motion in a second. Should
Okay, we can
call
go
a
there.
vote?
All right, okay, call vote.
I mean, so, motion was to approve the slip resistant footwear usage policy.
Mhm.
No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed,
Okay.
motion passes.
Thank you.
I agree with Brett. You need to go and talk to all the employees, get their feelings on it and go from there.
Well, I agree with that statement, but if you talk to every employee, you're gonna get different answers from everyone.
Yes.
It's up to
Yes.
the, it's up to the supervisor. If he thinks it's a,
You,
if, so safety begins with the management. If the management doesn't buy into safety issues, the employees aren't gonna buy into safety issues. And at some point, employees override the management because we think, so. Safety, again, starts at the top.
Well,
So
I
it's
think
up-
the other thing that we can do, Brett, I agree with you, but I think the other thing that we can do in regards to concerns that Joe has or I have or road department has is we're not mandating at this point a specific type of footwear, I guess I'd say, for lack of a better description. That each department's going to look at what's available and each employee. And they can pick and choose, I think, to a certain extent,
right.
what it, what it looks like and what they may or may not be comfortable with. In that regard. Moving forward, we are gonna have to develop something regarding replacement of this equipment.
Again, I think the discussion will need to be at a department manager
Right.
meeting, since you guys have adopted
What do
this.
you, what do you guys do? It's. What do you guys do if someone breaks your safety glasses? Do you wear safety glasses? What happens on other PPE? They've got to have other PPE in the field. What happens if if
Welding
it's go bad
helmet, break a welding helmet. There you go.
and it's in your budget?
And gloves. There you go.
And we provide for replacement of footwear.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying now is that we're going to have to provide for the replacement of additional footwear.
I think Stacy.
If it's in the policy, they're gonna cut the IMWCA is gonna cover replacement.
The initial purchase.
Just the initial, you have to have a
I
group.
don't remember if that was discussed.
I thought it was ongoing.
I thought,
Okay.
that's the way I took
Do
it.
you need me to call her?
No,
No.
no.
No. We passed it.
Good, that was unanimous. Everybody said
I still
no.
have
Yes.
concerns,
See how
but-
quick that was?
Well, maybe you should.
That's
No,
not
I
my
get it.
opinion.
I understand, it's
So-
an expense. I get it. It's,
No, I'm not looking at the expense, I'm looking at each. You're forcing it on them, it's a good deal, but also you're forcing it on them. And if there's equipment that they can't have it in, are they gonna stop and take it off? Once they take it off, if we're gonna forget to put it back on, it's just a hassle.
I suppose that's up to the department heads to figure.
Well,
out.
I think that each department head, Joe, and I'm not trying, don't misunderstand, I'm not talking down. I think each department head would have the common sense and the understanding to say, okay, look, the damage is screwed up here, okay? So moving forward, we gotta do better. I don't think we're gonna, 50 lashes the first time out. But the other side of that too is, I think we have to keep in mind, and Joe, I really am with you, believe it or not, I don't like this mandating thing, that's what I said a little bit
I
ago.
don't like mandates either, like.
But the fact is that,
Can't say what you're thinking.
we also have to be cognizant of the fact that the taxpayers are going to pay for any claims that we have.
That's true.
Yeah, and they
That's
are
true.
your employees, whether they
Yeah,
directly
yeah.
report to you or not. They are collectively county employees. And we're all paying our salaries and we all want everyone to be safe.
I think everybody does different things too, like
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna speak for Josh, but I know in the first responder world, especially, I know when you guys go out on calls at certain times during the winter time that you're like, oh shit, it's slick out, watch your step, right?
Yeah,
If you had an extra something on there, it took you 30 seconds to put on, you probably feel a bit better. I know on a fire scene, when we spray water at 15 below
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything ices up,
Yep.
we wish we had some stuff to put on our feet, but we don't have the ability because they're not, fire
not
department's
fire
different, they're
rated.
not
Right.
fire rated, so
Right.
we have to manage around it, that's one of,
mhm.
so for you guys, it might be huge
Mhm.
and make people feel more comfortable, the roads department might be different. Of what they're doing in and out, but does that make sense? I mean,
Well, we're also driving trucks, pushing snow, we're not
Yeah.
out shoveling.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, it's just like any other task, welding, using a torch, you wear gloves, you wear a helmet, you wear protection. It just becomes second nature. And this is new. New things are difficult. People don't like change. People don't want to have mandates. I get it.
It's
I
the
get it.
discipline part that bothers me.
Well, again, Joe, it's only if you have a repetitive claim from the same person, like if you've got like 3 claims
Okay.
because Chris Estel keeps falling outside, then what is going on with her? Does she have something underlying physically?
She should be
Does she-
crawling.
does
It'll
she-
wash me.
Is she not paying attention to her surroundings? Is she parking in the wrong spot? Is there ice that's running off? I mean, but it's only if you have repetitive claims, and that's just a protective thing for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like Chris didn't put her footwear on today.
I can remember, many times, one time, like, perfect example is safety glass. We implemented a safety glasses policy in the factory I worked at. Back in the old day, you had gloves and hell, you could smoke cigarettes inside the plant, right? But we moved to where we got buy-in from the management on safety equipment. We had eye injuries. We were working around cutting plastics and stuff like that. So, and everybody hated it because they had to wear these goggles or these safety glasses. They fogged up in the summertime. It was, but one guy got an eye injury, significant eye injury. He didn't have his safety glasses on. He was cutting on a bandsaw. Took care of it, paid the bill, whatever. He was fine after that. A year later, same thing happened. He gets another eye injury. Guess what? He didn't have safety glasses on. He was terminated. So it can happen, but it's repeat offenders. And
Yeah.
would you want, again, we're trying to protect the employees from
A lifelong.
being off work and something actually seriously happens. So
Well, if it happened to them once, they should learn their lesson.
Well.
Second time, it's their fault.
Sometimes it's
That's
3.
true. And, I know there's
I'm
Susie,
Susie.
nice to meet you.
wrote a note. But the other thing too to remember, Joe, is that right, wrong, or indifferent, we are facing significant property tax revenue losses. So anything that drives the cost of our insurance up
Yeah,
is also, a concern. And again, the taxpayers
agree.
pay it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I don't think your department heads are gonna
it'll be.
find a product that's not gonna work for their employees.
Right.
I just don't think that's good.
So,
You're in charge. She's writing notes.
no, I have something else.
Oh,
Right.
We're not done yet.
we're still on, okay.
We're still on team discussion.
Okay.
Okay, number 1, thank you for adopting the policy. We'll figure that out. We'll move forward with it. It'll be part of the safety.
But you don't need us anymore, right?
No, well, you need to hear the rest of this because I do have something that involves you.
I've got a meeting in Mount Pleasant, so,
Okay,
okay.
Yeah, he does.
do you want me to go?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the
Yeah,
thing.
Hardy's quits
We
at
discussed
10:30.
this is about your AED, okay? The Greater Jefferson County Area Foundation Grant is open. The deadline is June 1st for applications. I would like to get a new AED for the health department as well. Mine is like this. I was reading through the process though, and it doesn't pay for replacement items, but this could be semantics. These are just for adults. So yours is an adult, mine is an adult. The one that I got a quote for does have an option for pediatric, so it wouldn't be replacement per se, because it would be new, because it would be pediatric and adult. So my question to the supervisor, since you're all here, is I'm gonna apply for one on behalf of the health department. Do you want me to put in one for the courthouse while I am applying for this grant? It doesn't matter to me. I just need to know, Josh, you're not doing, we talked about this like at the last meeting with ICAP grant or IMWCA grant or ICAP grant. So
Right.
that's why I wanted to have this conversation at this meeting. So,
Cause those are way outdated. already.
yeah, I know they are.
Yeah.
I know they are. But that's why I want to have this conversation because it's all encompassing with safety.
A jurisdiction that doesn't have one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good to have one and still work, but so I don't need, I just need to know, are you applying for any funding?
I'm not.
Okay, so the question is do you, as a it's not like an official action, it's just a directive. I'm gonna apply for one from the health department. Do you want me to put in for 2? So one for
Of
you.
course, sure.
And then Josh and I can figure out, you don't have to have official training per se with certification, but we can run through some scenarios and show y'all how to use it. Okay.
So what becomes of the old ones then?
Well, it can get refurbished. It can go to a place where they don't have one, or it can just go away. Cause it is to Josh's point, it's old.
Does it still work?
Yeah, it's blinking.
Why does it need to be refurbished?
Well, the light's blinking now, so that's telling me the battery's working. I mean, batteries have to be replaced, and you could be in the middle of using it and it might not have any battery power left because it draws on the battery continuously. So, anything else to add on that?
I don't know how old those are, but
They're old.
yeah, they're probably,
8, 10 years old.
oh, so those are like.
I don't know. We used to
Yeah.
have a life pack,
So essentially, well, and like CPR and AED usage hasn't really changed in the last 2 cycles, I think, but.
Yeah.
American Heart Association does update their recommendations every so often. So if an AED is old enough, it's not gonna be within the current recommendations for timing and those kind of things. So again, without knowing how old those are, they may not be within the current.
They deliver the correct shocks, though, I believe so. Anyway.
So we need a
We'll talk.
motion.